Hey everyone, Miss Dempsey here. This is a guide for round 7 of the Manufacture Series Exhibition Season 2. Let's get this started. Your first braking point is just before the pit wall on the right ends. Brake hard for a moment and go into the pit exit lane for a bit, then bring yourself into the apex. Nice and easy off of the brakes, then nice and easy on the throttle. Use the white sign on the left as your turning point and try to take this turn flat out. Now bring yourself to the right side of the track. Look for this patch of dry grass that is on the right as you want to brake as you pass it. And control your braking so you can still maneuver around as you're slowing down. Take this left turn flat out, then a quick burst of braking for this right and left turn. Bring yourself to the left and brake when the tarmac changes from a lighter to a darker color. And you want to take advantage of the curbs, so try to get on this curb and get on the throttle as soon as you can. For the upcoming right turn, you want to do a short lift off of throttle, and you're going to do the lift right as you make the turn. So right here is where you do the lift, and just control your throttle. Try to maintain as much speed as you can while trying to make sure that you don't end up on the grass. Now look for the second set of signs, as these are going to be your turning point and you want to ease off of the throttle. Just try to stick as much as you can to the left side of the track and brake when the curb on the left is just about to end. You're going to be braking hard for a while. Slowly ease off of the brakes so the car doesn't slide around. Nice and easy on the throttle. Bring yourself to the right side of the track and look for this dry patch of grass on the right, as that is your braking point. If you're brave, you can brake just after you pass it and take advantage of the curbs. Then do a little bit more braking, brake before you reach the crosswalk. Bring yourself to the inside of this left turn, lift off of throttle for this right turn, and gently accelerate your way out. If you do this right, you can shave off a lot of time just by getting that section right. Then as you make this left turn, you want to ease off of throttle, use a little bit of braking, and just after you pass the writing that is on the tarmac, that is where you want to start to brake. You don't want to go wide through this turn, as this turn is a little long and drawn out. Now brake as you pass the white signs on the left. Take your time slowly easing off of the brakes and slowly accelerating. Go flat out through this left turn, and just before the curb on the right starts over here, that is where you want to use a little bit of braking. Just bring yourself to the inside of the turn and gently accelerate. And just after this big patch of dry grass on the left starts, that is where you want to do even more braking. Do a little bit of braking control so the car can still rotate as you slow down. Nice and easy on the throttle, as it's really easy to end up getting some wheel spin there. Brake just before the curb on the right ends, nice and easy off of the brakes. Nice and easy on the throttle, and brake just before the curb on the left ends. Be patient through this turn, as it's really easy to mess it up and end up losing control of your car. Now you're going to want to take this left turn flat out, and after you take this left turn, you're going to want to look for this blue dot. You're going to brake just after you pass this blue dot before the Yokohama sign on the right, and you're going to brake hard for a short moment. Slowly ease off of the brakes. Be very careful getting on the throttle, as you do not want to make any contact with the grass. Now let's fast forward through this, and for this upcoming left turn, all you have to do is just ease off of the throttle. Be patient as you slowly accelerate so you don't end up on the grass. This right turn can be taken flat out. Bring yourself to the left and brake before the curb on the left starts. You're going to be braking hard for a while, and when you turn in, you want to start to ease off of the brakes, and you just want the car to rotate around as fast as you can before you start to fully accelerate. Now brake after you pass the final happy little tree on the left. Bring yourself into the carousel, nice and easy on the throttle, and when the carousel is about to end, that is where you start to fully accelerate. Now you can take this upcoming left turn flat out. So this turn right here, take it flat out, but start to brake when the curb on the right starts. Just use a little bit of braking then lots of throttle control through these turns. Then you want to look for these marshals on the right as you want to brake just as you pass them. Use a little bit of braking, not too much. You want to get the car to rotate but maintain a lot of speed. Take this right turn flat out, and just as this turn ends, that is where you want to use some braking. You want to use some braking so the car can still rotate around these turns as you slow down. Do a lot of throttle control. Brake when the curb on the left is just about to end. Bring yourself to the right as soon as you can, as you want to look for the Yokohama sign on the right and brake before you pass it. Bring yourself to the inside of this left turn. Nice and easy on the throttle. Brake before the grade curb on the left ends. Don't brake for too long. Then brake just before the curb on the left ends. Nice and easy off of the brakes. Nice and easy on the throttle. Then look for the dry patch of grass on the right just after these cones as you want to brake just as it starts. Brake hard for a short moment. Slowly ease off of the brakes. Gently start to accelerate so you can maintain full control of the car. If you want to be safe, you can brake just before you make the jump, but if you want to be brave, you can brake right as you make the jump. Nice and easy on the throttle. You want the car to do the rotation before you accelerate, and pretty much through here you can go flat out. Look for the digital flag that is on the right as you want to brake just after you pass it. Brake hard for a super short moment, then start to ease off of the brakes. Bring yourself to the right and brake when the curb on the right ends. Nice and easy off of the brakes. Gently accelerate. Look for the white apex sign on the right as you want to brake just before you pass it. You want to slow yourself down just enough to bring yourself to the inside of this turn, and you can quickly get on the throttle if you get it right. Use a little bit of braking just before the curb on the left ends. Do not hit the curb on the right. Then do a little bit of throttle control. Stay on the inside of the turn, then fully accelerate onto the final straight. We'll go ahead and fast forward through this and take this left turn, this upcoming left turn flat out. Take this right turn flat out, but brake just as the curb on the right ends. Don't brake too late as you will get a messy exit, and that will cost you time like how it does for me. You want a nice smooth exit. Bring yourself to the left, and just as the tarmac on the left starts, that is going to be your final braking point. Make sure you don't hit the wall. Nice and easy off of the brakes. Nice and easy on the throttle. That is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. For the qualifying session, you only have 12 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time, which means you're only going to have one chance to get a good qualifying time. And what I'm going to do is just wait around. So you have more than enough time to get an outlap done and prepare yourself for the actual qualifying lap. So in this case, I'm just going to wait until almost everyone leaves. Make sure there's a huge gap between myself and the car next to me or the car that is ahead of me, and just drive around going nice and slow. So about a million years later, I go ahead and come out of the pit stops, and I'm just going to go on a nice Sunday drive. The front tires on the Dodge Viper wear out faster than the rear tires, so I have the brake balance all the way to the rear of the car just for the outlap. I just want to make sure that my tires are in good condition, that they have the most tire life available so that they'll provide all the grip that I will need once I do my qualifying lap. Once I want to start to push, that is where I adjust the brake balance to have it at +2. Now, do you have to do something like this on your outlap? No, not really. The only time where I can see this being really beneficial is on cars that have noticeably more tire wear towards one side of the car. So with the Dodge Viper, I have front tire wear that's a bit heavy, so I bring the brake balance all the way to the back. If you're in a front wheel drive car, well, you're just going to want the brake balance all the way to the back of the car anyways. But for other cars, it's going to be a bit more situational and probably even just optional. You don't have to do this sort of thing. This is mostly me just being paranoid and just trying to have all the tire life that I will need. Also, don't forget that you want to make sure that you come out of the pit stops and drive slow enough, but still have enough time to be able to complete the outlap before the timer hits 0. When the timer hits 0 and after you started your qualifying lap, a second countdown is going to start, but it should give you enough time to be able to complete that qualifying lap. If the first timer, which is like the one you see here, hits 0 and you still haven't completed your outlap yet, then you kind of screwed yourself over. You went a little too slow. So over here, you see me starting to speed up, and this is actually where you want to start to push the car a bit more, as you want to bring a little bit more heat onto your tires so that your tires are ready to go by the time you cross the start finish line to start your qualifying lap. So over here, I see I have 2 minutes and 28 seconds left, so I know I kind of need to start to speed things up. And for reference, I came out of the pit stop when there was around 10.5 minutes left. And if you look on the map on the top right hand corner of the screen, there's obviously a huge gap between myself and the next car, which is going through the hairpins right now, so I don't have to worry about anyone getting in my way and slowing me down, because I don't know if you know this, trying to pass at the Nordschleife is pretty difficult and, well, dangerous. And this is why you want to have as much space as possible between yourself and the next car, so that there's a less likely chance that you'll end up running into the car that is ahead of you. If they make a mistake, hopefully there is still enough space so that you still don't end up running into them. And if you mess up, then unfortunately that's going to end up hurting your own qualifying time, and you cannot restart it. You have to keep going, because once again, you only have one chance to get this qualifying time, so you better make it count. So here we go, we're crossing the start finish line, and there's 1 minute 17 seconds left, and that is before the second countdown starts, so I'm good to go, and I'm starting to push the car a lot more. The tires are warmed up and I am good to go. And not long later, the timer on the right is going to hit 0, which is going to end the first countdown, and now the second countdown starts. So by the time the timer hits 0, you better have crossed the start finish line to start your qualifying lap, and in which we did in this case, so I don't have to worry about it. I just keep doing my thing until I cross the start finish line to complete my qualifying lap. And this qualifying section of the guide is a little bit longer, because this qualifying session is going to be ultra important to trying to start up as high as you can. By starting up higher, that means that you'll have less battles to deal with, because as you know or don't know, trying to overtake or do any sort of battling here at the Nordschleife is incredibly difficult and dangerous. One little mistake could send you or the other car or both of you into the grass, and that's basically going to be race over. And there's barely enough room for the two of you to go too wide through a turn or through a certain section of the track, so you want to make sure you qualify as up as possible so you can deal with less of those shenanigans. I'm also really upset that I didn't get a 659 in this qualifying session. This game likes to tease me a lot. But anyways, you just want to make sure that you preserve your tire life on your outlap, and then push as much as you can as you get closer to your qualifying lap. Make sure there's no one in front of you for ages, so you don't have to worry about running into anyone and ruining your own qualifying time. But anyways, so we got a really good qualifying time, and we're starting in pole position. And we're going to be starting back here, and I have the brake balance set to 3 now, so 3 to the rear, because I want to make sure that I can save a little bit of tire life on my front tires, since those tires wear out faster than my rear tires. And your tires are going to be cold, so you do want to be careful as you go through the first couple of sections or turns on this track. So this first turn right here, you want to be very careful, because it's going to be easy to overshoot it and make yourself look like an idiot. Then, well, this turn as well, make sure you turn right. You're not going through the 24-hour version. And this turn right here, it's really easy to end up sliding around, so you want to be nice and careful going through this turn so you don't end up stressing your tires out early on. And just don't push the car too much for the next couple of turns. Just give your car the time to warm up its tires, and then you should be able to push. So sometime just after you make that little jump over at the Flugplatz, so after you make the jump and then turn right, that is where you can start to push the car a little bit more. But anyways, let's take a look at the general race information. So we are doing 2 laps at the Nurburgring Nordschleife with the Group 4 cars. And we have the fuel at ×1, which means that fuel is obviously not an issue. So for those 2 laps, you don't have to worry about having to refuel. And the tire wear is a ×5, and we are given the racing medium tires only. So there's no tire requirement. You don't have to worry about that. And with the tire wear at ×5, it's not going to present much of a problem for some cars, but for other cars, it's going to be a pretty big deal, and it's going to get horrendous towards the end of the race. Like the Audi TT Cup, that car is going to suffer towards the end of the race. Now, is this race a 1-stop or a 0-stop? Because this race is only 2 laps long, and because it's actually going to be possible to do a little bit of tire saving, mostly by adjusting your brake balance and just trying to drive as smooth as possible, you're going to go for the no stop. But hey, mister, what about the what? No, you're going for the 0 stop. With this race only being 2 laps long, it's not going to make any sense to do a pit stop in this race. If this race was 4 laps long, then yeah, a 1 stop would definitely make sense, but this is a 2 lap race, so it's not going to make any sense to do a pit stop. And if you do go for the pit stop, you're going to lose a lot of time, you're going to lose positions, and it's going to be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to make up those positions, because 1, of the time you lost in the pit stop, and 2, this track is incredibly narrow. You can barely fit 2 cars in here, so it's going to be incredibly difficult to overtake someone as you try to retake your positions. So tire management is going to be important here, and all you need to do is just drive as smoothly as possible, try not to slide around too much, and adjust your brake balance so you can try to even out the tire wear as much as you can. In the case of the Dodge Viper, it's pretty easy to do that, so I don't have to worry about the tire wear. And the tire wear is going to slowly kick in during the 2nd lap, but it's not going to be bad enough to where I have to do crazy tire saving like how we had to do in the 2020 Super Cup. It's not going to be that bad, unless if you're in a front-wheel drive car, because all the work is done on the front tires of those front-wheel drive cars, so you're going to have a bit of a bad time. If you are in a front-wheel drive car, it is your #1 priority to try to qualify as high up as possible. And because the front-wheel drive cars are pretty overpowered, you need to get the heck away from everyone else, try to build the biggest gap possible so that when the tire wear starts to kick in, you have a big buffer that is hopefully big enough so that it is incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for those in the non-front-wheel drive cars to catch up to you. Luckily, I have an example of this. So we have this Corvette that is chasing a TT Cup, which is a front-wheel drive. This Corvette is a front-engine rear-wheel drive, so the tire wear isn't as bad on the Corvette, but on the TT Cup, the tire wear is really bad if you look on the lower left-hand corner of the screen. In the first lap, the TT Cup had the advantage due to its incredible pace, but with the tire wear kicking in, the Corvette's going to have the advantage with its better tire wear, and the TT Cup is going to have a bad time here because its tire wear is bad enough to where the car understeered onto the gravel. And the Corvette is going to be able to take advantage of that, just pressuring the heck out of the TT Cup, force them into a mistake, and then just slip them by. And the TT Cup, because its tires are pretty much already worn out, it's going to have an incredibly difficult, if not impossible, time trying to have a reply to that overtake. And yeah, you can see the TT Cup, they can't really do much, and the Corvette's going to end up getting away. And of course, I don't think you need me to tell you this, but try not to make any mistakes on this track, as making mistakes will make you ultra vulnerable and of course will ruin your run. So in this run, I ended up having a pretty good run. I did make a couple small mistakes, but nothing too big. And I was able to take care of my tires by having the brake balance set to 3 to the rear for the Viper and just trying to drive as smoothly as possible. And the tire wear, it wasn't much of a problem for me at all. So I ended up having a pretty smooth drive to the finish line. So let's go ahead and talk about places to overtake. There's not that many for such a long track like this. So the first one is after the Flugplatz, where you make a couple of jumps and then turn right. So this spot right here, one potential spot to get an overtake done. You want to try to get past them as soon as you can, taking advantage of their slipstream. And you want to bring yourself to the left side of the track if you're going side to side to make the opponent think twice and hopefully back out. And I do need to mention this, and I keep on mentioning this, overtaking here is really difficult. You're going to spend more of your time pressuring the heck out of them by driving really close behind them, make them think a lot more about you than the turn that is coming up ahead, and that way you can hopefully force a mistake onto them. They mess up and you can just slide on by. The next spot is after this blind right turn that takes you onto the back straight. So this spot is another potential spot to try to get an overtake done for the same reason as the other streak that we went through a while ago. This spot you can take advantage of the slipstream and just try to pass them as soon as you can. However, it is pretty easy to go too wide through this section, so do expect some battles to happen if you are trying to get an overtake done. You pretty much want to have the overtake done by around this area because you have the left turn that is coming up right here, and if you're going too wide through this turn, you're either going to slow yourself down a lot or you're going to end up on the wall. And finally, the back straight that is coming up is probably the safest place to get an overtake done, but you do need to position yourself just right. But before I talk about that, the only penalty serving zone is actually at the start of this final back straight. So you're about to see the penalty serving zone right here. Please make sure you don't get a penalty because you're going to slow down a lot and that's going to put you at a huge disadvantage for this long back straight. But anyways, you need to position yourself just right within their slipstream because you want to overtake them, and you want to make sure that you do it just in time so that they're not able to take advantage of your slipstream and re-overtake you. So here's a good example of this happening where this player ends up getting the overtake right. So he's taking advantage of the slipstream. He's going to get an overtake done on the Lancer and the TT Cup, and the TT Cup is eventually going to end up going right behind the Corvette, but luckily the Corvette was able to get the overtake done just in time so that the TT Cup is not going to be able to have a reply to the Corvette. So unless if the TT Cup goes for an absolute scent, which is not going to end up happening, the Corvette was able to easily take 2 spots. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this guide. Sorry for making this guide really long, so that there is a lot to talk about. And this is a 0-stop race. Make sure you take your tires by adjusting your brake balance and driving as smoothly as possible. Try to qualify as high as possible so you can hopefully deal with less shenanigans. And for this video, I'm going to leave out the chase cam with no commentary, so all you'll see here after this section is the bumper cam no commentary, but I will upload my replay to the Gran Turismo Sport website, which will be in the pinned comment down below if you want to check it out and download it so you can watch it when you're on your PS4 console or PS5 console. But anyways, that's all from me. I'm going to sign off now. So this is MrMCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.